All right, now we're getting into what I think is really one of the fun parts of the entire course, which is strategies on how to build your debt settlement fund. You'll notice that the accounting section that we previously did, where I had the acronym of ideas, income, debts, expenses, and assets, stopped without getting into the S, the savings of your debt settlement fund. We're going to cover that one now in strategy. You're going to be building your debt settlement fund from your income and your assets. And that always raises the question of how much should you allocate from your income or your assets towards your debt settlement fund. How much of your income to allocate towards your debt settlement fund will, of course, be determined in part by whether you're in positive or negative cash flow. If you're in positive cash flow, even if it's a couple of $100 positive cash flow, can you put that towards your debt settlement fund? If you're in negative cash flow, how can you adjust your expenses in order to lower them to get yourself into positive cash flow, to have that little extra bit? Even if it feels like a tiny bit, we're going to be building your debt settlement fund over months, maybe a year and a half. And as we start getting into the spreadsheet and really putting in numbers, you'll see how small amounts over months and a year or more can build into a debt settlement fund that actually has the ability to tackle your debt. The strategies are coming up. If you're thinking there's no way I'm going to do it, just sit with me, keep watching. We're going to go through a lot of ideas on how to accomplish that. Ultimately, the question becomes, when I ask how much of your income and assets should you put towards your debt settlement fund, I recommend that you put a reasonable amount. Now notice I didn't say a comfortable amount. There is not a lot of comfort in any of the choices to get out of burdensome debt. First, I say reasonably and not comfortably, because honestly, no one who wants to be comfortable for their entire life gets much done. Athletes who want to be comfortable don't become champions. Musicians, artists, business people, politicians, anyone who wants to stay in a comfort zone around their goals and desires in life usually doesn't get where they want to go. We have to push ourselves beyond our comfort zones in order to accomplish big things. And getting out of debt is a big thing. Secondly, in a strange twist of words, people who stay in their comfort zones tend not to live very comfortable lives. It doesn't produce the results that we want, so we wind up being in situations that are always uncomfortable. Our comfort zone keeps us in situations that are uncomfortable. So in that same strange logic, if you want to become truly comfortable in your life, and in this case that means being debt-free, you have to get uncomfortable in order to accomplish that. The route towards comfort is getting uncomfortable. So again, that's why I do not say put a comfortable amount of your assets and income towards your debt settlement fund. I say put a reasonable amount towards it. I want you to become uncomfortable because that is the only route out of debt. There is no route out of serious, burdensome debt that is comfortable the whole way. One way or another, you have to get out of your comfort zone, which brought you to where you are, and become uncomfortable in order to get where you want to be. And in debt settlement, that means making some difficult, sometimes hard choices about what assets you have that need to be sold to put towards your debt settlement fund, or what portion of your income needs to be put towards your debt settlement fund. Stopping your credit card payments is uncomfortable. Seeing the late fees tack up is uncomfortable. Talking to debt collectors will be uncomfortable at the beginning, but with the knowledge and information I'm going to give you, more comfortable as you go through it and see success and find your footing and your confidence in it. But if you went through long-term payoff, there's discomfort to making those payments forever and all that interest for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and the sacrifices that you make in your life and your other expenses to do that. There's discomfort in bankruptcy. There is discomfort in working with a debt consolidator, discomfort in working with a debt settlement agency. There is no route out of debt that does not require discomfort. So the question becomes, if there were a route for you to get out of debt that were entirely comfortable, wouldn't you have taken it by now? I think you can agree that it doesn't exist. So it becomes a choice about what areas of discomfort are you more comfortable with? But there's no route of total comfort. I believe that in order to get to the comfortable life you want to live, you must go through a route of discomfort to get there. But we're going to go down that route with a plan of action towards that overall aim of getting out of debt with courage and knowledge and information and confidence. So yes, when it comes to making the hard choices of how to build a debt settlement fund, taking from your assets or your income to do that, that will be uncomfortable. But it can also be relieving. It can also be exciting. As I've said throughout this course so far, I believe that when you start to take control of your situation and make choices that are best for you based on your own assessment of your life, that executing that plan of action on your own behalf can be a thrilling thing that even in its lack of comfort, even in its newness and discomfort, is exhilarating instead of debilitating or begrudging, like paying off in the long term if you're struggling or filing bankruptcy. Wherever you are in all that, whether you're frightened at the aspect of building a debt settlement fund because you just don't see where it's going to come from, or excited as you start to embrace the notion of taking control and doing this for yourself, it's not the time yet to either celebrate or despair. This is only half of the settlement fund versus settlement target amount equation, and you're still in the assessing phase. Right now, we're still just looking at your situation in order to figure out the best plan of action for you.